Hey guys, all you YouTubers, you have to bear with me a moment. I'm trying to get rolling here. As you can see, I drive a truck for a living. Used to drive over the road when I was younger. My kids were little, but found this local job driving a roll-off truck for a trash company for the insurance and stuff. I get paid for the hour and I'm home every night. I figured I'd tell you this, be like a story time like everybody else does. My daughter, she's married to a boy she went to high school with, and he's in the military and he's stationed in Seattle, Fort Lewis, I think it is. Anyway, they were in for Christmas, and they left last Friday after New Year's to go back home. Well, before they left, this kind of funny story now, but it wasn't so funny then, the day it happened. Before they left, I changed the oil in their little car, put brakes on it, because, you know, from Kentucky to Seattle, pretty good drive. It's a 2008 Mazda 3 car, only got 60-some thousand miles. I mean, it's a good little car, but the back brakes were getting wore down, so I put brakes on it, changed the oil, and her husband, he knows, he's only 20, he knows nothing about cars at all. I don't know, I grew up on a farm, we always had tractors, trucks. My dad hauled, he had trucks of his own, he hauled steel with big trucks. We were always taught to check the oil or anything before you ever started them up. So when I was changing the oil that night in the garage, I let him watch me change the brakes and stuff, trying to teach him a little something. Told him, I said, make sure you check the oil when you get somewhere, you know, halfway out to her, before you get halfway, just somewhere when you get gas, shut it off for a few minutes, pull the dipstick out, make sure it's got plenty of oil in it. Well, they leave Friday. He wakes me up Sunday morning at 6 o'clock there in Utah. He pulled the dipstick out, and I don't know if he hadn't let it set very long or what, long enough for the oil to drain back down. But he wakes me up at 6 o'clock in the morning, and he said, I had to put a couple quarts of oil in this car. I said, was it leaking somewhere? No. I don't know where it's going, but it needed oil. I said, well, if something happened to it, I said, just keep checking it. Keep a pretty close eye on it and keep adding oil to it to make sure you get home. Just don't let it run out of oil. He said, okay. So that was at 6 a.m. At noon Sunday, he calls me. Actually, my daughter calls me and said, Dad, this car is smoking so bad out the exhaust you can't see behind us. It's just leaving a big blue cloud of smoke. And I start freaking out there in Idaho by this time. They drove it 6 hours. And what he had done, she told me, she said, Dad, I think he's got too much oil in it. What he had done, he freaked out. And every time he would stop or he'd pull off, he'd shut it off, check the oil, and he'd put a quart in it. He wouldn't give it time to drain down. He had put 5 quarts of oil in that car that day. And drove it 6 hours like this with 10 quarts of oil in the car. It was only a quarter of the way down, like it was at the 3/4 of a quart mark. It only needed a quarter of a quart of oil. And he put a whole quart, or he put 2 quarts in it, and he put 3 more in it that day. So I'm freaking out, thinking I'm gonna have to go get them, tow them home. Or I started to call. I was thinking about calling 63 Impala. They were out in his neck of the woods. See if I'd pay him, would he go get them and take them to Seattle? But luckily, I got to think, when she said that about the oil, I said, take that thing to Walmart. We Googled it, and there was a Walmart 4 miles away. I said, take that thing to Walmart and get the oil changed in it. because they'd stopped at this little garage and the guy was going to drain some of the oil out of it, but he didn't have it. It's got the canister type oil filter, and he didn't have the right oil filter wrench to take the filter and stuff off. He was going to go ahead and change it. So he said we Googled it, and there was a Walmart like 4 miles away. They go get the oil changed, and the mechanic that was going to do it, he said the motor sounds fine, they just got way too much oil out of it. So after Walmart gets done with it, my daughter calls me back and says we're about 35-45 minutes away from the Walmart, and it finally quit smoking and it's running fine, because it was kind of jerking and stuff when it first took off. I guess it tried to foul the plugs out. But he had 10 quarts of oil on that little Mazda engine. How in the world he kept from blowing every seal out of it? But they ended up driving like, I think it was 700-800 miles the rest of the way home. It ran fine. And they sent me pictures up underneath the car and everything. It didn't blow the seals. It's not leaking oil, and hopefully it's going to be fine. But I figured I had to tell you that one. That was a pretty good one. Me and my wife got a laugh out of that one after we about had a heart attack, because we thought we were going to have to drive from Kentucky to Idaho to pull them all, haul their car the rest of the way home and fix them for us. And an update on the chainsaw that I was fooling with last night. I cleaned the car, put it back together, and it runs good now. But the local saw shop didn't have the little vent for the gas tank, so I'm waiting on it, and it didn't have a fuel filter on it. I got the fuel filter today, but I'm waiting on the little vent. So as soon as I get that in, I'll make a video of putting the rest of it back together. Alright, thanks guys, we'll talk to you later. Please comment, rate, and subscribe.